pocket doors opened to an airy kitchen with open shelves holding plates and bowls and glasses, above a sink and a countertop of terracotta tiles. The stove was an ancient enamel royal rose. One diagonal window faced the neighboring building, a plastered wall which looked European, with an armchair nearby. The long kitchen table was covered with overlapping tablecloths, some Indian, some embroidered linen. Ivy told her guest to have a seat. She'd be right back. Their friend Myra should be there any minute. The man sat obediently in the center of the white couch against the wall, opposite the fireplace in front of a rough wooden coffee table. "Sorry there's no music on," she said, backing out of the room. "Just let me get changed." Out of sight, she called more loudly, "Be right out." There was no response, and the silence kicked up her nerves. Or was it his beautiful, inscrutable face? What to wear? She opened a crammed closet, some of the clothes she'd had for decades, not liking how one had to care what to put on, but caring nevertheless. Caring hoped for satisfaction, and she'd found it was best not to expect, well, if you could help it, anything. She usually had music playing in the apartment, but tonight hadn't made a selection in case the stranger wouldn't like it. He was a musician. As a writer, Ivy knew she was extra judgmental about writing and figured a musician would be the same. She wanted the stranger to think well of her, and already she had held herself back before they'd even met, wanting to please. Though, truth be told, she wasn't always sure whom she was hiding. At her mortifying age, you'd think she would have figured this out by now. She hid that, too. Maybe a skirt, she thought. It was the end of September, still warm in New York, and the soft gray shirt with the low neck. Myra had wanted to introduce her to Ansel Fleming for some time. It was not a setup, Myra said, though frankly Ivy wouldn't have minded a setup. "Just someone to have coffee with," said Myra. Though Ivy didn't need a new friend, already neglecting many of her friends since the eclipse made by motherhood. Myra was an expansive person, always wanting to introduce you to someone. Her circle of friends was forever overflowing, like a flooded river with Myra on its banks, her wrists in bangles and fingers weighted with rings. She was a designer. Looking in the mirror, Ivy rubbed lotion into her skin. Prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. The bell rang again, shrill in the hall. "Will you get it?" called the deep voice in the living room. But Myra knew the door was open and was already inside. "Hi," came her cooing, inviting voice, and Ivy heard the sounds of greeting. She heard, "Where's Ivy?" but not the low-barreled murmur answering. "I'm coming," Ivy called. She put an elastic around her hair and pulled the tail over a shoulder. Now that Myra was here, she didn't have to rush. But she felt a rush inside. She took the elastic out and redid it, lifting it instead into a twist. She could hear Myra's smooth voice. She was a good friend, and Ivy had met many people through Myra. Myra had many friends and might make a new one tomorrow at the table next to her in a restaurant, noticing something about them, shining her sparkle. Ivy zipped on boots, leaving her knees exposed. She felt an inviting fog bank waiting in her living room and savored it before entering. Myra stood and kissed her hello. She was tall and thin in a black dress with leather panels and orange platform shoes, which made her even taller. Her light green eyes with long eyelashes looked intently at whomever she was speaking to, gathering information. Where was Nikki tonight? Out at a friend's sleeping over. So grown up now, Myra cooed. Ansel Fleming sat at the end of the couch, hands dangling from the knees of his jeans. As Ivy and Myra got drinks in the kitchen, Ivy felt drawn to the quiet space where Ansel Fleming was, apart from the conversation. A beer for Ansel, wine.